What is up, everybody? Star Wars Dad back for another video. Today we're going to be looking at Han Blue, which has been getting a lot of attention lately, as it had some really good results recently at Gen Con last weekend. When I first started looking at this deck, obviously it has some similarities to Red and the discarding effects and things like that. The difference, of course, is that you have Han as the leader, which allows you to cheat big units out and take advantage of its ability. One of the cards that was in a lot of the Han Blue list that I saw was Karabast. I tried it out. Obviously, I look at lists that have been successful first, and for me, Karabast is definitely good in certain situations, but it doesn't really fit my playstyle. And a lot of times too, I ended up having like a Karabast in my hand, but no unit on board with damage, or if I had a unit, it wasn't damaged. So it just felt mediocre a lot of the time. And I've never really been a fan of that card because it is a situational card where things have to line up correctly for it to be most effective. Like, obviously, if you have a Chewbacca out there with like 6 damage and you have a Karabast for 2 resources and then you can just do 7 damage to anything, that's amazing. But like, how often does that happen? It's never happened for me. So what I ended up doing instead was just putting in maximizing my open fires and my takedowns, because those are just really, really strong right now. And it helps this deck have multiple choices of cards that can be useful early in the game depending on what's going on. And I like having multiple options in the game to deal with things because, it depends on what you're playing against, right? And then also later in the game, these cheap removals like takedown and open fire are just really, really effective for squeezing in there, plus a unit with Han's ability. So I can play a unit and remove a thing, and it just helps me gain tempo and just keep control of the board. But when I first tested this out with the Karabast list, like, it was definitely decent. I did decent. I would say, like, I don't know. I try not to stick too much to percentages, but I would say like about 60% across the board. But I didn't like that. It didn't feel dominant. It felt like I was, I won games, but it was like, I don't know, just above average. And it felt like I needed to tweak it more. And some of that's your playstyle. Like, my playstyle is different than other people that are going to play this deck. And I think that's one of those things that gets... we don't talk about that enough when we're talking about deck lists. Like, it's about how a player approaches a deck and uses certain cards and utilizes things. There's not always just one correct way to play a deck or to play certain cards, or there's multiple paths to victory. So the route that I chose is more of a control build, and it feels great for my playstyle. And so the first 4 games in the video are with the other version, and the last 2 games are with this version, just to be clear. And the last 2 games are against Kylo Red and Boba Yellow. The first 4 games are against like a couple of Sabines. And I never felt like I had a problem with Sabine when I was testing. It wasn't Sabine that I was more worried about, like, a Kylo Red or a Boba Yellow, because Kylo Red is extremely fast and Boba Yellow has tempo, and then it also can be extremely fast. And honestly, both of those are faster than Sabine Green. Sabine Green definitely can be fast, but that's not, like I said, that's not really what I was worried about as much as decks like that. As far as like control, like, we have a ton of things to deal with control. We have Force Throw, we have Tech, we have Kanan, we have Vigilance, we have K2SO, we have Fell the Dragon, we have Pillage, we have Poe, we have Luke Skywalker, we have Krayt Dragon. So, and then even in the sideboard we have Avenger, and Avenger at 10 cost, which is kind of like our version of a Devastator in here. And I love that you can play that in here. You could squeeze one into the main board if you wanted to, but I wanted to be just more prepared for aggro. If I was going to squeeze one in the main board, I would probably just drop, like, I don't know, it's hard to say, probably one Vigilance or one Open Fire, or maybe just one Make an Opening. I mean, I think it'd probably be Make an Opening, just because that's very situational when I actually use that card. But yeah, I mean, you could squeeze that in here. If you wanted to play it that way, I think it's fine, and it really fits the build of a more of a control build. The Chewbacca, the 8-cost Chewbacca, a lot of these games, you know, you can play it for 7 resources, obviously, and it synergizes well with Carabastic, Grit, and all those things, but I didn't get to play it a single game today. I still like it a lot. I think it's awesome, and I got a hyperspace foil in a recent box I opened, so I'm absolutely playing it in here, and I think it fits really well in this list. It's just didn't get to play it that much, and I don't think you will unless you're playing against mid-range or control decks most of the time. But let's kind of get into the list and break it down. So 3 green squadron in space, and then the 2 redemption in space. I did have the disabling Fangfighter in here at first, but didn't really find too many situations where it was that great, and I already had a lot of other things. And again, I just want to be consistent with removal versus having a Fangfighter in my hand where it's not effective. So just having that consistent removal early on is just, most games, that's going to be good. So that's again why I went with 3 open fire, 3 takedown, 3, and the 2 make an opening. So on the ground we have 3 Sabine. So the reason that I like Sabine in here is because it fits into, it synergizes with Kanan, so that you can get the Spectra synergy, where you can discard 2 cards and gain 2 life, since you have 2 Spectra units out. So you get to discard a card for the Kanan and discard a card for the Sabine. So that's why I like it. You could definitely put other things here. Like I like the Rawshire tree here, because you could just, it's a 3-drop with Grit that fits in with Han. It's a Wookiee, so you just put it out on turn 1 for pay 2 resources, put 2 damage on it, and then it becomes a 4/2 immediately, which I think playing anything with 4 power on turn 1 seems like a good thing. So I mean, if you're not as focused on having Sabine in here, you could just put that in here. I mean, I like that Sabine can ping shields as well, so I mean, that's another reason, an argument. I think the other argument is if you're playing Carabast, which I am not, then what you can do on turn 1 is play like a Cassian, for example, and damage it, and then on turn 2 with 3 resources you can squeeze in a Sabine for 1 resource, and then play a Carabast and do 3 damage to your opponent's unit with either Cassian or Sabine's, since they both have 2 damage on them. So that is a play, and that is one of the arguments why Carabast could be in here. But again, like I said, from my experience, Carabast just, it wasn't consistent enough. Like a lot of times I would just have it in my hand with no unit on board that had damage, or just had a unit on board with no damage. So, you know, again, that goes to personal play style and preference. And, you know, my play style here is to just be more consistent with my removal with the open fires, the making openings, and the takedowns, because those are still all really good in certain situations. Open fire and takedown are just good regardless. So just having those as an option to play on turn 2 or 3 any given game, depending on what's going on. Takedown is just amazing against Sabine, so they can't flip into the Darksaber. And, you know, sometimes I'll just pass with the takedown in my hand. If they pass to the next turn, then great. That means they didn't flip Sabine, so it's a win for me, and just I'll still hold on to a takedown. Again, my top end is a lot better than theirs, so if they're not flipping Sabine because they're worried about the takedown, then that's a win. So the next unit is Yoda. Yoda is just great in here because of Force Throw, and it gains a little bit of life, draws you a card. Otherwise, it's not doing anything special. You don't have a Jedi lightsaber in this particular list. You could definitely play a Jedi lightsaber and go that route. Me personally, though, I always find that when it works, it's great, Jedi lightsaber, but sometimes that just doesn't, you don't get to play it. And again, it's like you're just sitting in your hand with a Jedi lightsaber that goes on, you know, what if you have a space unit, or what if your ground unit just got killed right before you were able to play the Jedi lightsaber? So it's just a card in my hand that a lot of times I don't get to use. I still think it's a great card, but again, I prefer the more control build. So, but Yoda is good in here just to gain the life, draw the card, and play the Force Throw is the main reasons what I use for it in here. Then we have 3 Cassian. Cassian's a great turn 1 play. I do think Cassian's great with the Han, young Han leader, but in my other deck, the Han green deck, I didn't play Cassian, and a lot of people kept saying, "Why aren't you playing Cassian?" I did play Cassian in there, and I just found that there was other cards that I felt like were more valuable. I still think it's great, but I also think that it's really good against like control decks because you smuggle it out and immediately attack in. And I already have a ton of answers for control on that list, and I'd rather have Sentinel on the ground a little bit with Echo Base, or even with General Reich as cards that I would prefer over Cassian. So just from my playstyle again. The 2 tech are really, really good in here because tech allows you to smuggle anything. So you can smuggle your removal later in the game. So you're playing a bunch of removal, you might not need some of it early, you can smuggle it later. So tech is just amazing for that reason. Also to get Krayt Dragons and Chewbaccas and Lukes out of there, especially Luke, because Luke is a removal spell in itself. It would cost 9, but later in the game, a 9 resource removal spell from your resources that it comes down as a 6/7 with 3 restore 3 is just an amazing play. Tech is just such a fun card. Just like the Han green deck, tech really changes the game for the deck and allows you to do so many cool things. It makes you feel more comfortable about what you're resourcing, especially it's a way to defend against discard decks. 3 Kanan, of course. So Kanan has the discard ability that goes well with Vigilance and with Sabine, and then the gaining of life, so you're gaining 1 to 2 life a turn. And it's just a good body. It's a 4/5, and then also Force Throw. So Kanan is just really good in here in general. Trades well with things, survives. You can use Force Throw, you're discarding their cards, you're gaining life. It's just an amazing card for 4 resources. And we can, a lot of times, we can play it on turn 2, and it'll be a 4/3, which is still solid. You don't typically want to do that against aggro because you want it to survive. You don't want to have the best opportunity to survive, but sometimes it makes sense just to get it down depending on your hand, and it's still a good turn 2 play because you're still a 4-powered unit and they still either have to deal with it or you get to start dealing with them and gaining life. So then we have the 3 K2SO. K2SO is just really, really good in here. It fits the bill of what this deck is trying to do, which is like disrupt your hand and push damage at the same time. So depending on the situation, sometimes I'll use its ability to discard if I have a pillage in my hand when it dies, or if I'm trying to just close the game out, I'll push the damage. So it just fits really nicely. Or even if I have a Force Throw and a Force unit on board, then I might discard as well just to like empty their hand. So it fits really nicely in here and gives you that, the diversity and the options to do things. Then we have 2 Poe. Poe is like, it's good in here because it's a 6/6 with 5 resources for 1. Like even if it didn't have the abilities, I would still probably play it in here. But the abilities I think that come in handy are to do the 2 damage to their base to close the game out, or to discard a card from their hand to fit that theme of discarding. A lot of times though, when I was playing, like Poe was not the card that was the best option for me because I don't have ECL. So it just felt like a card that I definitely want to put down sometimes, but a lot of times I'd rather just play it at the 4 resource cost and do 2 damage to it just so I can get a 6-powered body on the ground, and then decide if my opponent doesn't immediately try to answer it, then try to decide what to do with it afterwards. And a lot of times I was just playing defense with Poe though. Obi-Wan is really good in here because he played at 5 resources. It usually immediately dies, but I get to pump up another unit, so that's really nice. And I usually try to do it where I can get the Han leader out as well, so that I can immediately pump that up to a 5/8, so that it can survive a few hits. The only thing that can one-shot it is the ECL Poe out of nowhere. Or a Wrecker, I guess, if they do the 5 damage to you. But, I mean, it just allows for Han to kill a lot more things and survive a little longer. Again, Han, when we flip Han the leader, like, we don't care if it dies. Like, it's nice when it stays on board because you can play multiple units in a turn for cheaper cost. But it's not like a unit where I'm, like, trying to protect it. It doesn't do, like, so much for me that I just need it to stay alive. But Obi-Wan into Han is really nice. Luke, of course, coming on 6 resources is just amazing. It's the same kind of thing with Luke Green, where you get it out a turn earlier, whether you're using Resupply or Alliance Dispatcher to get it out. It's just really nice. Of course, in that deck, it wasn't getting damaged, but this deck, you're consistently getting it out. You do have to be careful that your Han doesn't die the same turn that you want to play Luke, which has happened a few times to me, because then you won't be able to use its ability that turn, and then won't be able to play the Luke like you wanted to, so you want to make sure that if you don't have a way to protect Han with a Sentinel, with an Obi-Wan or something, then you want to make sure that you play the Luke first and maybe don't get to maximize its value, but at least you get to cheat it out on board. Mace Windu is nice in here. It's kind of like mediocre. It's one card that I'm not that sure about. Like it does things. It's a Force unit, so it has a synergy with Force Throw. and Obi-Wan and all that. It's nice to close out games. It's nice to come in and kill things. Again, you can play it at 6 resources. But a lot of times, though, it's, for example, like I either want to Luke a lot of times because I just want to remove something at -6/6 and they get a restore 3 unit on the board, or I want to play a redemption around that time, or I want to just play a removal spell because something's in space that's a threat. So it's like it's a good option, but it's not never, but it's a lot of times not my best option. Redemption is really nice in here because you're playing it at 7 resources. You can't gain as much life if you do it that way, but it's just really nice at slowing things down. It's really good against Boba. I think that is one of the big things you have to understand about redemption. I did have 3 redemption in the sideboard at first. I think the sideboard could either be 2 Avenger, 2 Rivals Fall. It could be a 3rd redemption. You could take out the 2nd Chewie potentially for that. It really just depends on what you're feeling like you're up against. The Chewies, again, it's really nice, but it is 7 resources, and for it to line up with Qi'ra, like I said, that never happened for me. But I do really like the card, and I like that it's basically a takedown in a unit at 7 resources, which is sweet. And then the 2 Krayt Dragon and the 1 Krayt Dragon in the sideboard. So as far as like this deck compared to the Han Green deck that I just did, I think they're both great decks. I think the Han Green deck, especially the one that I just did, is still being slept on and not being given enough attention to. I mean, that deck just, from the last video, like I said, I just dominated everything. So the fact that people still aren't talking about that just means it's a sleeper deck at this point. I think people are a lot more people are talking about Han Blue because it had good results at the Gen Con about a week ago. I do think they both have strengths. Obviously, ramping into Krayt Dragon a lot faster and cheating it in faster is just really, really strong. And you still have things like Reinforcement Walker, and you have Wrecker and Poe and ECL. And I think that's one of the advantages of that version is the ECL, Poe, and Wrecker turns, and then having a couple timely intervention as well. It's just it does a really good job of recovering with what you have in your hand because of ECL. In other words, so you don't need to play a bunch of removal because your units and the ambush units are removal themselves. I still play Pillage in that list. You have lots of Restore in that list, and then you're ramping into those big things, those big finishers. So in a lot of ways, they're very similar. Obviously, Blue has, the Han Blue deck has a lot better removal, and that's why I went for more of a control build. They have Force Throw, they have more hand disruption, but you have hand disruption in the green version as well with Poe Dameron and Pillage. I don't play K2SO currently in my green version just because of how aggressive the format is, but I originally did. I still think K2SO is a good card to play in there. Just, again, it gets to more player preference. But that's like one of those cards. I have 3 K2SO just waiting for that green version to come back in if I feel like it makes sense to bring them back in. It's one of the top cards to bring back in to cut out some of those life-gaining things. But yeah, both of them are about, in a lot of ways, they're very equal as far as like their ability to handle diverse group of decks. I think decks like Qi'ra Green, you have to have specific answers for. I think those decks are going to be a little harder because they have very similar like good matchups across the board and answers for everything. So that's really like, I do think that, I don't know, it's hard to say like which deck is better. They both have Fell the Dragon, they both have Pillage, they both have Poe. ECL Poe is really good at dealing with Qi'ra though. So that's one advantage that Green has. You just ambush that thing in, take out Qi'ra, and then it really does a lot for you. Because then you're, flipping Han the same turn, and hopefully you have a unit or 2 out there already, and that's hard for Qi'ra to recover with because you're trying to beat Qi'ra before, and you're also trying to ramp into Krayt Dragon as your other option with there, or Reinforcement Walker, and then you're playing your Pillages and your home ones against Qi'ra Green there. Whereas here, you're really just trying to disrupt their hand a ton, which absolutely works, and I do play against Qi'ra in one of the videos today. And hand disruption is really important. So, I mean, in this list, you're bringing in the 3rd Pillage. the 2 Force Surrenders. For me, I'm bringing in the 2 Avengers and the Krayt Dragon. Again, you're playing an Avenger at 10 cost. It's a way to deal with their Avenger later in the game, as well as Fell the Dragon. You could, like I said, you could just turn that into Rival's Fall, or 2 copies of Rival's Fall, and you could turn the Chewbacca into another Rival's Fall. It really just depends on what you think you're going to be playing against. But this control version, this more control-y version, I should say, has felt really good, though, since I've made some changes, and I really enjoy playing it. But as always, please like and subscribe. On the 2,500 subscriber giveaway, make sure to comment what decks you think are the best decks in the format, or will end up being the best decks of the format we set to. And make sure to subscribe. I greatly appreciate all the support from you guys. You guys have been... Alright, up against Qi'ra Green here. No mulligan. We have a good start. Is Sabine into one of these 2? I think we're going to save tech for later. This game most likely will drag on. Like Cassian here is a play. We're gonna just... You wanna just trade? I'm trying to think. Yeah. I like trading to draw a card too. So we have options here. You can either play Cassian, play K2SO. They just passed, so that means they're going to kill something. Power the dark side, most likely. Might as well get some value, right? Let's just discard a card from their hand. I am good with that. Against this type of deck, we want to discard. Okay, especially when we get that. So we're going to let Cassian go now, I think. We're going to play Yoda Force Throw. See what they do. Okay. Just really just minimize their hand size as much as possible. Alright. I don't think we need 2 open fires here. Okay. We could ECL out. Oh, we don't, I'm sorry. I've been playing so much ECL Poe lately. I'm like, oh, I could just ECL out Poe. No, you cannot. But you know what I can do? I can open fire. Just kill Qi'ra. And pass. Could have played Han there. But I didn't. I didn't. I think this turn we're going to go wide. First we're going to get it with Yoda. Go Green Wing Kanan. And then Han Leader. Oops. Okay. Attack. Alright. I don't think we need second Yoda. I'd rather have Poe or Mace Windu or K2SO here. At 7 resources, they can do that, yeah. Okay. We can just... I think Pillage is a good option. Just get rid of all of the cards in their hand. That was a Snoke too, which is disgusting. Okay. Do we care about Darth Maul? I think it's worth... Pillage. We're gonna use the ability here to get K2SO out. I think we're gonna trade, gain a life, and then go face. Okay. Basically, the worst thing that they could draw is like laser blast here, or like another Snoke. I don't think we need a Fang Fighter. Okay, he attacked, so I'm just going to pillage again to keep my opponent's hand size low. We're going to play Poe, then we're going to go face. And I think we're in pretty good shape now. Big game. Yeah, so I mean, that's where the discard stuff comes into play, and you can kind of see how that just ruined their day, so I don't think I guess we could keep the Carabast. Sure. Okay, he got the laser blast. Sure. That's the worst card he could have drawn. I mean, the best card he could have drawn to stay alive there. We'll just play Mace Windu, and then just pass. Okay, so we could hit him with 2 units here. I still say we're in pretty good shape. We're gonna resource nothing. Yeah, because we're gonna play Poe Fang Fighter here too. Why does he keep saying good game and then having an answer for whatever I'm doing? I guess that doesn't. I mean, that's something. That is something. But you know what else is something? Is this. Alright, good game. Yeah, good one. Alright, we're up against Sabine Green. No mulligan, so we'll let one Cassian go. So if we play a Cassian, we can use Carabast next turn as removal. If we play Cassian this turn. So let's, I mean, the Sabine though lines up with Kanan because we gain 2 life with the Spectres, which is nice. Problem is, will Sabine make it 2 turns? I don't know. I guess let's try that route and just keep the open fire as a piece of removal. Gaining life is incredibly important against them. Playing defense is incredibly important. Being able to use our units is incredibly important. Okay, takedowns are really good. Against Sabine. K2SO is definitely not bad. And it also allows us to have a stronger unit on board. We can always bring this back later. So we can cheat in K2SO this turn. We're just going to trade. Get that off the board. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot that it does that, doesn't it? Do I want to bring in K2SO here? Or open fire? We're going to take down next turn, so let's just play K2SO. Gives us options to attack into as well. I forgot that attacking first with Sabine lets it stay alive. Clearly I don't play Sabine a lot. Okay. Pillage is crazy good against them at a certain point. When their hand size gets low, it's really good, of course. I'm trying to think if we even want open fire. I don't think so. But I'd rather have open fire than pillage, I guess. And I'd rather have Luke we're getting close to Luke too. Kanan's still good. Open fire I want to have for space unit. See what he chooses to do here. I mean, we're probably just going to double attack into his Cassian, but we'll see. He might ECL something. Could also just go face and race him. Especially because we have more damage on board than him. We're definitely going to take down Sabine if he flips Sabine and tries to pull the Darksaber off. Takedown is incredibly important in this matchup. Yeah, I think I would have traded with Cassian if it was favorable, but because it wasn't, I just like where I could just trade with one unit. But I think because I had to use 2 units just to kill a Cassian, I was just doesn't make as much sense to do that. I'd rather just push more damage. Yeah, now we just play takedown on Sabine. Okay. Just if he doesn't flip Sabine, then no, he did. Okay. He could still have a Darksaber next turn. But you do have Fang Fighter in here somewhere. Okay, we might cheat in Obi-Wan. I think it's not a bad idea. Still have Kanan as a play. Tech is such a fun card, but it's just not great in this matchup. Doesn't really trade with anything, and then it's paying for cards from our resources at a more expensive cost isn't really advantageous to us in a matchup like this, where we're just trying not to get run over. Is he trading? Okay, he's trading with that. Just makes sense, I guess. We could cheat in Obi-Wan here, and it still survives. I think that it's worth it, just because he's gonna have to use ECO, and then we can pump up K2SO if it dies. I mean, racing them is fine with 5 extra HP and life gain built in, so I'd say we're in decent shape at the moment, but that doesn't mean that things can't change drastically. He could kill us with Poe right now, like ECL Poe, kill K2SO. Okay. Well, that does allow him to kill our Obi-Wan now. But I will gladly make K2SO a 6-powered unit. I think we're just going face. I mean, we're far ahead. And now we have Luke as an option, or even Mace Windu as an option. I think because we're winning, we're probably going to go with Mace Windu. I don't think we need Kanan anymore. I'd rather have the cheaper unit that we can squeeze in randomly for 2 resources with Yoda. First thing we're going to do, though, is attack with K2SO. Okay. I'm just going to deal 3 damage. Okay. Now we're going to cheat in Mace Windu. Or just kill Red 3. I'm not opposed to that either. Yeah, let's just kill Red 3. Just lower their damage output just in case they decide they have a way to kill Han. I don't want to not be able to play Luke or Mace because Han dies this turn. Say we're in a pretty good spot though. I mean, they haven't used ACL, so they could have Wrecker here, which Wrecker would annihilate our board. And he could still survive, which is crazy. Wrecker is amazing. Wrecker, more so than Poe, is the card that you're constantly worried about when you're playing against Sabine. He could do 5 damage to Luke and attack in with Han Solo. Okay, he's pumping up Sabine, I would imagine. Yeah. Honestly, at this point we do not care. Sabine can kill Luke though, but he has to have a way to kill Han too, because we're just going to claim the initiative and attack him with Han. Okay, well that's a way to kill both. So there you go. He found a way, because Sabine is ridiculous. Well, that was the wrong play though. Yeah. Good game. Yeah, he did that wrong. He actually could have survived for a turn at least. But I mean, we have Mace Windu. Okay. Yeah, so if he attacked in Sabine into Luke and then Cassian into Han, I think no, never mind. Cassian wouldn't have killed Han because Han has 6 HP, so that was the issue. Okay, never mind. There was no way. All right, playing against Sabine Green. No mulligan. Got a good hand here. I want to keep the vigilance. I think it's going to be important. Would I rather have open fire or Carabast? I don't think I need both. And open fire is going to do a little bit more damage. I think 1 unit on the ground and 1 unit in space is fine. So we'll just start off there. It'd be nice to have another 2-drop for next turn. We could play 2 2-drops. I think that would have been the reason to keep the A-Wing, but you never know what's going to hit you with Sabine, so you really want to be as versatile with the cards. Plus, Vigilance is just really important in this matchup to kind of swing the HP and kill a thing on the 6 resource turn. Okay. It's a good card too. It comes right after Vigilance. So what's more important here? Vigilance or Obi-Wan? I bet you the game comes down to what decision I make right here. Obi-Wan's pretty strong. I can come out a turn before Vigilance. Well, I think we're going to keep them all. We're just going to open fire the Sabine. So we don't want him to have like a wing leader. If he wants to waste his ECL on killing the A-Wing, that is absolutely fine. Okay. Is he doing the damage or claiming the initiative here? Claims the initiative, okay. Man, we just keep drawing fire. All of these are so good. So we can go Poe, Obi-Wan. We could play Poe this turn. So we go Poe, Obi-Wan, Luke, Redemption. I think we're going to let Vigilance go now because we have 2 forms of life gain in our hand. On curve, okay, there's a card. Let's bait out the Poe as a trade. I'm totally fine with trading those 2 cards, especially with what we have in our hand. And then we'll just kill his wing leader. Yep, that's absolutely fine. Okay. Claim initiative. Okay. Obi-Wan is strong here, especially because of that. I don't think we need Kanan because we're playing Obi-Wan into Luke. Alright, we're going to immediately deploy Han in case Obi-Wan dies. He hasn't used ECL yet, so if he uses ECL and kills Obi-Wan, then we just pump up the A-Wing. At least we have a unit on board for that. But we'd ideally like for Han to be the unit that gets pumped up, so that Han can trade favorably with things at 5 power. Those two cards work good together, because you can play them on the same turn. But you are taking the risk against Sabine Green that Obi-Wan just immediately dies. So, which is very possible if he has a Poe or something. And Poe could kill both of these units, so that would be the worst card we could play against right now. Which is very possible. But at the very least, we can kill Poe with Han, so... And then we'll just worry about Sabine after that. Okay, well that's not what I was expecting to have happen. I think that actually puts us in a good spot. Okay. Interesting. Well, we're just definitely going to kill Sabine now with the Han. And just remove the potential for that card continuing to be a nuisance. And we're just going to kill this. I think that puts us in a pretty good spot. We can also play... Ooh, so many good cards that we just drew. Pillage and Force Throw this turn just seems crazy good. We want to keep the Krayt Dragon though in case they have a Wrecker. I guess we have Luke though, so... I feel like I'm being greedy while keeping the Pillage, but like... Pillage literally just empties their hand, yeah. Okay, so there's the Wrecker, it's fine. We play Luke and just immediately kill it, that's fine. Okay. Okay. Now we can't play. We're gonna take 7 damage though. Yeah, I think we have to claim initiative to kill with Luke. Oh my god. Okay. I don't think we need 3 Lukes. That's hilarious though. I still think we cheat out the Luke so we can Force Throw. Because if he plays another big thing, we can immediately Force Throw it and kill it with our own hand, so that's totally worth it. We're still lining up the Pillage turn here. Just have to stabilize first. Do we want to kill that? I think so. He's 5 damage. Do we just discard a Luke here? Seems harsh. But it does remove the thing, so that's why we damaged the Luke that way. Taking 3 more damage isn't good either. As long as we stay below 20, we're good, but if they get close to 20 and then we have Redemption coming too next turn, so we'll see what they do if we need to play Redemption. If we don't, we're going to play Pillage and just completely annihilate their hand and then Okay. Mace Windu, Obi-Wan's good. I like Mace Windu as a form of removal. Obi-Wan's nice too. Makes it harder to kill Luke, especially because if he has a wrecker here, he just kills Luke. Mace Windu dies to the wrecker. Alright, let's keep Obi-Wan. Yep, there's the wrecker, literally. Was that the second one we had to deal with? Yeah. Wrecker is a ridiculous card. Just play this at full cost. Wait, Wrecker only gets in for 1. Now I regret discarding the Luke. But now we can take down, or even Vigilance here, so... We're just gonna keep our hand. Sure. Okay. Let's pillage, then takedown. Okay, he plays whatever he has left in his hand, I guess. Yep, okay. That's fine. We still have Redemption to gain 8 life at any given point. We have Vigilance to gain 5 life. Okay. Alrighty. Ooh, that was a mistake. You got a little greedy there. I don't think we need that card. So we'll just play Vigilance, gain 5, kill the thing, yeah. Okay. Play tech. See what he does here before we decide to play the Redemption, or how much HP we want to gain. Okay, he's just claiming the initiative now. He's not being greedy anymore. We're playing this at 8. Could play it at 7 plus open fire. I think that's probably a good idea. Okay. What can we get from our discard? We could play a Vigilance for 8. That seems pretty good. This is where tech is amazing. Heal defeat. Okay. I'm just gonna claim the initiative. Okay, we're gonna Redemption here. And open fire. Let Cassian go back there. Is there any other life gain we have? In here we have a Luke that we could play. Okay, that's good. Seems like a good card to play as well. He has the initiative, right? Oh, I'm sorry, we do. So we open fire. Kill that. We play Redemption, gain 8 life. 2, 3, 4, 5. Sure, let's just trade with Redemption. I'm okay with that. We're going to claim the initiative again so we can grab things out of our resources here. What do we want to grab? Anything particular? Krayt Dragon, I think. Close this game out. I don't think we need that. So let's just play Krayt Dragon. It's fun when you can do stuff like that with tech, right? Okay. We are just going to claim the initiative. Tech is doing work this game. It's funny because normally tech does not do much in this matchup, but alright. 3, okay, he's going in for 7, that's cool. 6, okay. Yeah, we're just gonna kill Fleet Lieutenant with Krayt Dragon's ability. Okay, another one. We'll just kill that immediately with Krayt Dragon's ability. Okay, I mean that's damage. Krayt Dragon doing all this work while we're just sitting here with the initiative. Carabast is pretty sweet here now. So we have a way to gain life. We have Luke. We have Kanan. Okay. I'm gonna pass. We could use Carabast as a way to kill something. I think he's probably out of K2SOs by now, right? He's used 2 K2SOs. 2 Wreckers. He's used all 3 4 causes, okay. We're gonna go in for 10. Then we're gonna... Why would he claim the initiative? We can swing in for 6 here, I guess. Do we have another Cassian? No, we don't have another way to gain life. Alright. Tech did work, man. That was fun. This is why these 2 cards go well together, and then also just you know, in any kind of Han deck, you want to play these 2 cards from. All right, up against Bo-Katan blue here. Looks like a solid hand. I think we're just gonna let the Mace and the Redemption go. Fangfighter will be good because they usually try to put the Dark Saber or upgrade their units, so that should be a good card in this matchup. We don't want to cheat too many things in because of their ability. You know, of course, we will when we need to, but... Alright. Luke is good. Cassian's good. Open fire. Let's just kind of see what our opponent does. Is if they play an upgrade right here... I'm gonna resource that. I'm gonna keep the open fire of the Fangfighter here as an option because they like to upgrade on turn 2 a lot. I think Fang Fighter's the best play though. We just delete, remove, and upgrade, and then have another unit on the board. But it really depends on what they do. Otherwise, I'll just save the Fang Fighter for a different turn. Okay. So we'll just go face first and kind of see what they do. Okay, we're just gonna get rid of that. That's an easy choice. Yeah, Cassian we can pull out later. Okay, interesting. We are one turn away from Obi-Wan. I mean, I really don't want to get rid of any of these. I don't want to get rid of Poe, Luke, Kanan, or Obi. I think they're all really good. Fang Fighter's good too. We could just cheat in Poe here, but I like Kanan as an early life gain card to give us a leg up, plus it trades well with these cards. This is tough. I guess Obi-Wan, because we can play Poe at face value. And Fang Fighter's going to be potentially important here, so. They flip on 6, yeah. So that's actually either a Luke turn or a... Okay. Well. That's something. We can remove some of that, one of those upgrades. Or just play Kanan. Let's just play Kanan. Poe can defeat upgrades too, so I guess that's the argument for keeping Poe over Fang Fighter at a certain point. Okay, he's trying to kill the Fang Fighter? Oh no, he's trying to kill that. Interesting. Well, we have a takedown. Nice. I think we're gonna let this go now. The other cards are just too important. Yeah, I mean, we might as well just take down here. We can use the Force Throw for something else if we need to. We also get to flip Han this turn, so might as well just kill Yoda, right? Yeah, we're gonna do that too. Just remove all threats from the board. Alright. And then we get to play a Luke here, or Obi-Wan here, or Poe here. Lots of good options, depending on what our opponent does. So I'd say we're in a pretty good spot right now. It's just so, what I love about this deck is that Force Throw is like so good in here, and it's just so nice to have this card be extremely relevant. Alright, see what our opponent does. He might have removal here. Okay. Okay. Again, what did he just do? Huh? What happened to Kanan? Oh, okay, Kanan died, okay. Gotcha. Well, we could just cheat and loot. Say that's pretty good. Okay. Not too worried about the 4-7. I'm just gonna kill Fenrir. If he trades with Luke, that's totally fine. Okay. He did not. Fell the Dragon is a card. I think we're just gonna save the Fell the Dragon. We're just gonna go face and just put them under more pressure and force them to have to deal with Luke. We have a Force Throw as an option. We have Obi-Wan. See what he does. I didn't want to play Obi-Wan right away in case I want to use Fell the Dragon if he pumps this thing up, so. Okay, that's not... Okay, now I think I want to use Obi-Wan. And then we can play Force Throw if we need to. You could have Darksaber here, I guess. Why is that 5 power? Oh, because of that, okay. And then, okay, so he killed Obi-Wan. We'll give the experience to Luke. To Han, I guess. Good Force Throw here. I'd rather just trade though. Get that off the board. You could still Force Throw something here in a second. Okay, yeah, I mean, I'm imagining. Okay. That's fine. Still just happy to lower his hand size too. Okay, so Han can die here. Luke will not. If he pumps up the Ketsu, then we remove it. What do we want here? Redemption? Or Fang Fighter? I think we have to Fell the Dragon, so I don't think we need the Fang Fighter at this point. So like if he pumps anything up, we just use the Fell the Dragon, and then cheat in Poe, so I think we're good there. He's trading with Han, or he's defeating one of Han's experience points. Okay, cool. So we're just gonna go face. See what our opponent has here. Okay. I think we just play Redemption and pass. We don't need to gain life. Okay, that's a card. Okay. This kills 5 or more power. Okay. Mace Windu is a good card here. So we play Mace Windu. Can't really play anything else, but we win. Okay, so first we're just gonna go in with Luke. He's got to have a way to deal with the redemption now. Like, killing Luke's not doing anything here. And then if we... Okay, he doesn't have a way. So he's going face, and then we're just going face. Okay. Another pretty dominant performance. Alright, up against Kylo Red, which Kylo Red's actually a pretty tough matchup. But I like our hand, so we let go of one Sabine and Mace Windu here. We're basically just going to be playing defense as much as possible early, and then using removal. Hopefully we'll draw into like a takedown or an open fire for the Kylo unit before that turn. Okay, so we go... Yeah, we're just going to match them and just try to stay in the same place that they stay, so that we can trade with them. He could do 2 damage to us if he discards a card here. I don't see why he would... Oh, he's doing it, okay. It's totally fine. Okay. I think that was a misplay, honestly. Just because we're just going to kill him and we're going to live to see another day. I mean, the fact that we have Yoda and Kanan is good, and then Skywalker's good, but usually they win before we get to Skywalker, so we just have to make sure that we play smart and make good choices. And that they, you know, the worst thing they could get is Fallen Lightsaber Kylo, so, you know, we're just kind of hoping that they don't get that. But, I mean, we're in good shape right now. Okay. Like I said, we're just going to stay on and match them and trade into things. We're going to kill Benthic immediately. We don't need 2 Kanans. Benthic is how they get a lot more damage out. We didn't find the takedown, unfortunately. So we're just going to have to go Kanan. Okay. Let's undo that. Let's play Kanan. I'm trying to attack into Kylo with Sabine here. Okay. It's fine. Okay, well now we're just gonna go here. Just get just about everything off the board. Open fire is really good for next turn. Yep, that's the card we hoped that they didn't have. Okay. Fell the Dragon will take care of it though. So I don't think we need another A-Wing. Just fell the Dragon. Oh, whoops. Undo. Leader units. Okay, well then we're gonna just have to open fire the Kylo. And attack him with Kanan. Gain a little bit of life. We're gonna use gonna try to be sneaky about this. We're gonna play this for 1. Okay, that's a card. Then we're going to force throw our opponent. See what they discard. Okay, sweet. And then we're going to trade Kanan with the hunting. And then we're going to deploy and attack in. Sweet. I think we have turned the corner. This matchup absolutely can be hard. But I think I have made some changes to deal with decks like this because they were definitely a problem with the initial list. We're just going to attack into this, and then potentially just Luke. Yeah, just going to Luke. And then just attack base. And I think we are clear now. I don't really want to get rid of both vigilance just because, or one of the vigilance just because there's a chance that they could turn things around on us. I think Krayt Dragon is out though. I don't think that's a card that we're... Okay, he can do 4 damage to us. Okay. We'll just go ahead and gain life with that. We're just going to use this. Heal defeat. And that should absolutely seal the deal in this game. Alrighty. Good game. So, kind of what I did is I changed things to a more control build. Like, we're definitely still playing units and definitely taking advantage of Han's ability, but we have a lot more removal main board, and I think that and life gain, just because the format is so aggressive right now. You don't want to have too many expensive things in your hand early on, or else how are you going to keep up with them or have answers for them? So it's a lot more low to the ground. We do have our payoffs, like clearly we have Luke, Chewbacca, and Mace Windu, and Krayt Dragon, and all that fun stuff, but we're a lot more prepared for these low to the ground decks. Like, for example, I played against this deck like early on when I was testing this a different version of this list out, and they just like absolutely annihilated me and just beat me I think on the Kylo flip turn, and it was just ugly. And this game felt completely the opposite, so I feel like that was the issue that we fixed, and it feels better. I think we're already well suited for control because of the hand disruption, the force throws, the pillage, the Kanan. We have vigilance, we have K2SO, and we're still playing more aggressively, so I think that was the change then. Alright, up against Boba Yellow. No mulligan. So we're either playing in Cassian, K2SO takedown. This is hard. These are hard choices here. Yoda is pretty important. Playing turn 1 Cassian is pretty important. But I guess so is just playing a removal. So we can do this and then K2SO. I think we want to have removal / life gain. And that way if they take out Yoda, then that's okay. Well, there you go. There's a card. They're probably taking Yoda here. That's the smart play, because then we don't have a turn 1 play. They did, and look at that. So good play for our opponent. All right, we don't need 3 Kanan, but I will play Kanan back to back here. I think is fine. If they kill the first Kanan, that is. Not too worried about a Bazine surprise strike for 4. I don't care about that too much. And getting Kanan established is good, because then they have to think about it, and it trades well with a lot of things. It has 4 power, so. Okay. Interesting. I'll take that all day. I'll take the 1 damage from Boba. It's not a problem. Yeah, I mean, Krayt Dragon's just, that's still 5 turns away, so. Let's go. Let's just pass our opponent. See what they do here. I'd like to just remove something that they play. We can cheat out Obi-Wan next turn, which I think is good. We get Kanan back live next turn if they don't kill it this turn. Okay, that's a card I really despise, because what they do is they use Cunning and they attack him with it twice. So that's actually a problem. So we're going to remove that problem before it becomes a problem. Again, when I first tested this deck out, they just claim the initiative, okay. you know, it didn't have all the removal pieces that I wanted it to have. So I think we're probably just playing Obi-Wan here, because then we can trade into Boba. With Kanan afterwards? Okay. That's totally fine. Play Obi-Wan. And then we can pump up Kanan. Then we're going to flip out Han Solo, so we can pump up Han Solo as well. Another Calican, okay. So we're actually going to attack into Calican so we can open fire it, or even make an opening it the following turn. Again, that's the card that is a problem with Cunning, because they can attack into it twice for 7 into us twice for 7 damage. Which is not what we want to have. We have Luke Skywalker coming down next turn, which is great. To deal with like a Fet's Fire Spray. Okay, so we're gonna they don't have any resources left. So we'll go into Boba this turn. We'll pump up Kanan, so it has less damage on it. Claim the initiative. Boba dies. So we're immediately going to use Kanan to trade in with Calican. Toro Calican, however you say it, I don't know. Don't need 2 pose. Okay, then we're gonna try to set ourselves up where something dies, so that if he plays the Fet's Fire Spray, we can immediately remove it with Luke. We don't want Han to die though, because that's the way we cheat in Luke this turn. Just playing defense. Our end game is a lot stronger than theirs, as long as we can get to it, which I think we have a good chance of getting to it at this point, based on the fact that we only have 1 damage. We're definitely going to kill Sabine with Han Solo here, so I mean, worst case, we'll just play like yeah, there's the thing. Okay, so we have open fire to deal with whatever they pump up with the Cunning. That's kind of what I was talking about. That's why we took out the Toro, because I was expecting that play to come, because that's how they get like 14 damage in a turn. So they didn't actually do anything. They just killed it. So we can just play. Can we play Luke? I think we can, which is the best thing we could do. Get a Luke and kill a thing. I mean, that should close the game up. I don't think they can recover from that. Okay. But yeah, since I've updated this list, it's felt much better for my playstyle, I guess, and for just where I feel the meta is currently, with just so much aggro. Like, you definitely have a favored matchup versus aggro, but there's still situations where like aggro can still run you over if you're not ready. But I feel like we're ready now. So. Alright, Fet's Fire Spray is the other card they have to worry about here, but we have Open Fire and Make an Opening, which would kill it, so... So I have 3 Open Fires, 2 Make an Openings, 3 takedowns. There's another Cunning. Okay. So he can't waylay anything. He can just exhaust 2 things and make us discard a card. Okay. So we'll just do this, get rid of that. 2 Cunnings, then we have 1 left. A waylay Kanan, I guess? Sure. So we'll just cheat out 2 things. We'll cheat out a Poe, and we'll cheat out a Kanan. And I cannot imagine our opponent can recover from this, especially because we just drew a redemption. Look at all that fire we have on board right now. I spit hot fire. I don't think we need second Kanan. Just be able to diversify our board state and close this game out as quickly as possible. There's that. mean, we could just play Redemption and heal nothing so that it immediately dies. Sometimes you have all the answers. But again, I think that's because I've changed this list around to be able to handle this deck. I mean, this is one of the best decks in the game. Like, you can't just be not prepared for it. So, one of the underrated qualities of Redemption is that it's a Sentinel. Okay, well, we're going to discard a card and close this game out. How does it always do that? Alright, put on 21 damage. And we have all the answers. Attacking with Redemption first, just in case. I don't think we need Yoda at this point. Good game. Yeah, I mean, we still had ways to deal with them, but we're just going to close the game out quickly and just 33-0 against Boba Yellow. I mean, that's kind of like as good as it gets, right? So, good game. Again, the changes that we've made feel amazing, and I feel like... So, back for the post-game wrap-up. So, this deck, it started off kind of rocky before I made some changes. It wasn't like dominant like I've some of these other decks that I've played recently. It was, I want to say, like 4-3 or 5-3. I want to say 5-3 before I made some changes. So it was like, you know, above average. It was performing well, but there was definitely games where I just got ran over by aggro. And it was, like I said, it was the things I spoke about, like with Carabas, where Carabas wasn't doing enough early, and it felt awkward sometimes if I didn't have a damage unit. And sometimes you don't want to just be damaging your units for no reason if you don't have to, because then your opponent can just trade favorably with their units to kill your units. So it just kind of sets up awkward situations. I do think that there are probably other players that play it a little differently and perhaps a little better with using Carabas, but for me, I just went with straight removal instead, and with the making openings and the open fire and the takedowns. And I really like having the 3 open fires and the 3 takedowns. I felt like that's one of the things that really shifted the early part of the game for me against some of those decks I was struggling with. I mean, you could see against Kylo Red and Boba Yellow, which were decks that I spoke about that had given me some trouble before I made some changes. I just annihilated them the second time around after I made some changes. I think Qi'ra Green, we did really well against them. It just shows like what that hand disruption can do to a deck like that. Like I said, they get into these situations where if you pillage them or force throw them and they only have 1 card or 0 cards in their hand, then they're only getting to, they have to resource a card to keep getting up to their higher resources to get to Snoke and Avenger. And if you keep just disrupting their hand, they're only going to be able to play 1 card per turn. And if that card's not the card that handles what's on the board, like we're pretty much in a position where we can just start cheating units, flooding the board. And I think Qi'ra found a board wipe with one of those cards against us and just got lucky, but it was just too much. K2SO was really good against them too, just for killing. It's a unit that we're always going to choose to let it die, so we can either discard that last card in their hand or to put 3 more damage in their face. So I do think that this, overall, I think that Qi'ra is a tough matchup, but I think if you play that matchup enough, I think that this deck has enough answers to deal with Qi'ra. Again, the only downside of this versus Han Green deck that I just posted is that you have the Poe ECL turn or the Wrecker ECL turn to deal with Qi'ra, so that's a little more effective as far as taking out the leader. But you also have takedown here, so takedown works great, and that's one of the reasons why I have 3 takedown in here. It's just good against a lot of things. The Boba Yellow matchup, I mean, we went 33-0. Like, that's just we just had answers every step of the way. Is there anything I would change? Like I said, the sideboard is kind of like, there's always some areas you could tweak. You don't necessarily have to play the Avenger. It is 10 resources in here, but I do think it is amazing. Like, Krayt Dragon into Avenger is a really strong curve. You don't necessarily have to have the second Chewbacca or the Force Surrenders. I don't know if those are necessary. I mean, you could tweak things around. You could put Rival's Fall in there as another form of removal. But I felt like because I was going heavier with the cheaper removal and I have units to do things, to put damage on certain, make things weaker, those have felt good. The Fell the Dragons have felt pretty good. I wouldn't mind having a Rival's Fall or two in the sideboard. I think that's one card that's on the edge of being put in the main board. I have to test out the Avenger more to see if it's worth paying for it at 10 resources in here, but I just like the idea of it. I like the idea of playing things out of aspect, especially if I'm only getting, 1 cost penalty for playing it for one of the best cards in the game, so it just makes sense to me. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and y'all have a good one, and peace out.